Welcome to the RAG Podcast, the weekly show where I interview recruitment owners who are prepared to tell their unique story of growth. This is all in aid of helping future and existing recruitment businesses who are looking to do similar things. Now, growth means different things to different people. So by tuning in every week, you're no doubt going to find information that's relevant to you.
On this week's episode of the RAG Podcast, I'm joined by Tom Essex. Tom is the co-founder of Kigyo Solutions, a recruitment business headquartered in Amsterdam with 10 employees recruited into logistics and renewable energy. On this episode, we talk about Tom's journey since he launched the business in the beginning of COVID in 2020, and we really break down the mistakes and challenges they've faced over the last 4.5 years. He started a business with a co-founder. They went down the route of being very niche in SAP, and within 12 to 18 months found that they'd lost their niche and became quite a generalist recruiter in a space they didn't even know. In this episode, we talk about the challenge he faced with his co-founder and how they've come to a solution that works for them both, and also how he's now pulled the business back out of being almost a little bit generalist into more of a specialist. For anyone who's going to launch a business or has a business with a co-founder, it's not all rosy. There are challenges that you will face having a business partner. It's one of the most important relationships you'll ever have, and it doesn't always end up with a scale and exit story. Sometimes it's better to go your own separate ways. In this episode, we explore some of the challenges that I hope can help you navigate anything that you could go through too. So, without further ado, Tom, welcome to the RAG Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, pleasure. Thanks for coming to the UK for it.
Yeah. It's an easy journey, really. It's just similar to coming back from the Midlands, I guess.
So he's flown in from Amsterdam for a couple of Hoxo-related things and a bit of client work and stuff. So, good to have you back. So, look, we'll go in and tell the story in a minute. Before we get into any of it, people won't know you necessarily. So just give us that bird's eye view of you in the business, what you do, and then we'll tell the story.
Yeah. So I'm Tom, one of the two founders of Kigyo Solutions. We're an Amsterdam-based recruitment agency. 10 people, including the two of us. I guess initially positioned to work in the kind of SAP enterprise software space. That kind of migrated over time, which I'm sure we'll go into. Now we've got kind of two divisions, one supply chain, manufacturing, logistics-ish, and then the newest division is in renewable energy, and that's where I kind of foresee the growth of the
That's where you're putting your time and effort, yeah.
That's where I'm putting.
Wicked. So, how did the whole getting into recruitment come about?
I was working for HSBC on a management trainee scheme.
Was that like a graduate job?
Like a graduate job. Working towards being kind of like a financial advisor or mortgage advisor, that kind of vibe, really. And the rules and regulation around financial advice changed quite significantly around 2010, 2011, something like that. So the path wasn't as easy as I foresaw at one point. So I think one day I Googled like recruitment or recruitment companies within the financial services space.
To go and get a job.
To go and get a job or go and look for other jobs, because that's all I knew at that point. And I came across Huxley, which are one of the key brands or the main brands from S3. Kind of called them up, or I think I went to their office to ask about any jobs. They kind of explained that, look, I didn't really fit into the profile of people that they potentially recruited. But they've got sales jobs, they were in recruitment. I didn't really know what recruitment was.
Where was this, in Birmingham?
This is in Birmingham.
Yep.
Went through the interview process, liked what I was hearing, got the job, took the job, and it kind of started.
What year was
there.
this then?
This was 2012.
And was that, what brand was Huxley you joined?
That was Huxley I joined.
Was that Progressive in the same space as them in Birmingham?
So there was two offices in Birmingham. There was Huxley and Real Staffing in the one office, and then Progressive and Computer Futures were in another office.
Did you know all the others or not?
Do you know the brands at that point?
Do you know the people in those other brands?
I know people from other brands.
Do you know Bav Joshi? Do you know that name?
No.
Little Indian guy. He won an Aston Martin from Progressive.
No, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he crashed it, because they used to do these like awards, didn't they, where you'd raffle off tickets and things, and he won an Aston Martin for like a year, and he ended up crashing it.
And they did car They did car targets where they'd give they still do car targets where you can add money onto your salary, but they would they would give you like a Porsche if people turning up to clients like 25-year-olds in Porsches.
Well, you got an Aston at like 21 or 22, and it's a funny story. But I thought you might know Birmingham office. So, without going into all the detail of your S3 journey, how many years were you there in total?
About 7.
Right, and you went from Birmingham to New York.
Yeah.
Which, just what was it like living in New York, like, and doing that at such a young age?
I mean, yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago, really. But New York was a whirlwind. Yeah, it was just kind of the fastest pace of life you could visit.
Where did you live?
Really.
Manhattan.
No, I lived in Williamsburg in Brooklyn.
Right, it's like the Shoreditchy area.
Yeah, kind of ish.
Yeah. And what was it like? Like, what going from Birmingham to New York? Was the job the same? Was there obvious differences? Like, what was it like?
The working culture is a bit different. The American side of things, anyway. I mean, you know, I was in a very British orientated company, but the working culture was a little bit different. You know, I didn't know this at the time. Like, when I look back on my career now, I kind of didn't give myself enough time in many ways in the same industry, in the same market, if that makes sense. I think it's helped me in other aspects of my career, but from like a billing perspective, I was only giving myself like 2, 3, 4 year periods in any given space.
So you got good in England, then you went to New York.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm kind of building. I wasn't continuing anything. I was building from scratch. So it's kind of tough in that sense. But yeah, I love the life. It was fast. You know, out a lot, working a lot, hungover a lot. Like,
were the fees good over there at the time?
The fees were good. Yeah. The value was. I started doing a little bit more perm there, and some of the values were massive. And I think down to the. You talk about this quite a bit on your podcast. I think we're down to some of the employment laws and regulations. It's just it's all a bit quicker.
Yeah.
Even on the perm side as well.
Yeah, because people get like no notice periods and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the big fees are there at a faster pace than they might be in Europe with in terms of processes and notice periods and stuff. Yeah.
So, did you ever consider that was you stay in New York? Like, did you ever think you'd live there long term?
I don't really know. It's really hard to answer the question. I don't think so. No. I think there would have been a time when I was thinking about it. I never truly felt settled. Yeah. I think people underestimate how long you need in a period to actually settle down.
And how many years were you there?
I was there for about 2 years. Yeah. I mean, 2 years is like a settling period. At the time, it doesn't feel like that.
I did that just under in Australia, and I never felt settled.
Yeah. So at the time, you figure, oh, you know, I've been here 6 months. I'm set. You're not. You need a couple of years to. So I kind of made another move before I was fully settled, really, looking back.
And then it was Amsterdam with the same business.
And then I moved to Amsterdam had an opportunity within Global Enterprise Partners. Which
was that a brand new business at the time? Then a brand new brand, or
it was probably 3 or 4 years old, less than 20 people, and it was a newer S3 brand. Yeah.
And what was the proposition that excited you about that role?
So it was almost like startup within corporate kind of vibe. It had the feel of a at the time when I was there, you know, I thought I was in a startup, or I thought I was in a small. I obviously wasn't. I was still part of a massive corp.
But what was what were you recruiting? Like, what was the niche that
we were recruiting? SAP consultants, or ERP consultants into kind of large scale projects, but where, you know, a company might have a project across the States, Europe, parts of Asia, and the traditional model is you'd plug into a different recruiter in a different region and find the consultant. We were going with a pitch, look, we'll help you in all the different regions. So we were picking up business from huge kind of multinational corps and helping them with consultants in China and the States and different parts of Europe.
So you actually had to have skills of recruitment like globally then?
Yeah. So I mean, GEP, Global Enterprise, was plugging into wider parts of the S3 database and bunny hopping.
But you weren't plugging into the recruiters. You were doing it yourself. So you'd have to like. Was that a time zone challenge then at the time? Like,
there was. So my initial plan when I joined was to set up the US division.
Right.
So I was working midday-ish until kind of 10 p.m., 11 at night in Amsterdam. And I was essentially bunny hopping off some of the European relationships to open up in the States. That encountered problems within S3. S3 had already had an established US division.
Yeah.
They weren't so happy.
Suddenly you're ringing the same clients.
Exactly. They weren't so happy about an Amsterdam-based brand calling their clients and stuff. And also, posed a few problems internally because people were billing from Amsterdam, just doing deals where they wanted, basically. And then all of a sudden, well, the USA business, that's going to go to Tom's team. And so it wasn't as easy as I'd hoped when I joined, or I was sold to, you could say.
So how long did you spend there before you left in the Amsterdam office in Global Investment?
About 3 years.
Right. So when did the seed start being planted that you might start your own business? Like, what can you go back to when you first went, right, this is going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. I can pinpoint the exact moment. So I went on a conference with my now business partner in Miami. Well, sorry, the conference was in Orlando. We tagged on a trip to Miami at the end of it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And we kind of...
So you flew from Amsterdam to Miami?
We flew from Amsterdam to Orlando. We spent 3 or 4 days at a conference. And then after that, we went for a weekend in Miami before we went home. Right? And we had the discussion, like, could we do this on our own, basically? John was the same guy that I'd worked with in Birmingham previously as well, so we knew each other for a long time, good friends. We had that discussion, could we do this on our own? Very invested in the market. The market's booming in everywhere you can imagine.
This was the SAP consultant piece.
Yeah, massive corporations. Like, once you're in, there's loads and loads of business with the same company.
Yeah.
So we had that discussion, which would have been around the summer of 2018.
Yeah.
As it turns out, we didn't set up the business until the summer of 2020, wasn't it? Yeah, 2020.
That's
so
COVID year.
That was the middle of COVID, the start of COVID. Yeah. So that was the first discussion we had. We kind of backed away from it. You've got the comfort, the security of the company. I left S3 and I went to work for a small company called Michael Bailey. Actually, it turned out to be a really poor decision. I found out. I knew in the first week I'd made a bit of a mistake. Actually,
what was wrong?
It didn't really feel right to me. I'd kind of understood that I wanted to leave and thought about doing it on my own, and was a bit insecure about whether I was close enough to the action, whether I was actually hands-on enough. I wasn't really particularly billing much myself. I wasn't doing loads with clients myself. And I would say I probably panicked a bit, really, rushed a decision. Realised that the company was an absolute mile away from S3. And
what were you brought in to do in that job?
I was brought in to run the entire Dutch business.
Right.
They had 3 or 4 different divisions to kind of manage and grow and run that section of the business.
Do you think that once you've mentally had the seed planted that you're going to be your own boss, it's very hard to then run someone else's ship? I think like when you got in there, you're like, because you're going to have to grow a company now that's not yours, and you've already been planning and thinking about your own. Do you think that played a part in it?
I think quite possibly. I think personally, I'd gone through quite a lot in that period that I can look back now and I realise how much it affected me. And at the time, you can't, you're stuck in it at the time. And I think, I think I struggled for a couple of years with a few things, and wasn't able to kind of have the correct decision-making process around certain aspects.
And it's quite a big move to start your own business as well. And if your life's not, say, settled, or you got some challenges going on, it makes sense to take sideways steps. Yeah. And so what was it? When did it come back to the right? We're doing it now.
So I think my partner John had also left S3 and gone to a different company at a very similar time. Maybe he was a couple of months ahead of me. We met up for a beer just as COVID was breaking out, some point in that February. And I just remember saying to him, I think, like, John, I'm actually ready to go on my own now. And he's like, yeah, me too. Let's sort it. And we fixed it pretty quick and agreed that we'd go for it that summer.
So you waited. So then the pandemic unfolded.
Yeah, the pandemic unfolded, and nobody knew what was going on, right? It was unknown territory for everyone in every industry. So we committed to it anyway.
But did you have to manage the early part with working for someone else and play a bit of a game in terms of I'm going to keep trying to bill in remote setting, or did you go on furlough, or how did How did that exit go through the year? Because you're leaving at the start of a pandemic. How did that go?
Yeah, was working remotely for Michael Bailey, and in the background kind of setting up the business plans to go on our own. I mean, they weren't overly happy with me for handing in my notice. I guess it was quite a big hire for them, and 6-7 months later I was already off. So they didn't take it particularly well. But yeah, it kind of felt like the right time.
Did you have non-competes from both businesses then, in a way?
Yeah, I had non-competes from both businesses in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
We wanted to respect. I from the bottom of my heart, I wasn't really billing that much in either company. I didn't have any business, my own business in the Netherlands, really, from either company. If I'm going to go and start something on my own, I'm not going to just go and try and steal business from somewhere else. It doesn't work like that, right? Everyone knows it doesn't work like that. So we had every intention of focusing completely away from the Netherlands to respect our non-competes.
Yeah.
As it turned out, we got some kind of legal letters and stuff from 3 companies in the end, from John's existing, my existing, and S3. So we had that. I mean, it's not ideal to navigate that in.
No. But they're all just threatening you, basically.
They're all just threats. I mean, it costs time, it costs effort, it costs energy. You're trying to start a company and you're dealing with this. We felt like we were in the kind of clear legally on all fronts. So we weren't like overly worried about anything serious happening. But I think it still takes
energy. Yeah.
It still takes energy.
And where does the name come from?
So the name. Do you want to say sorry? The name. We went to Greece for like a bit of Athens for like a bit of a planning couple of days.
Sounds good.
There's a story behind it actually. Wolves were in the Europa League. I'm a big Wolves fan.
Is John a football fan as well?
John's a Forest fan.
Right. Well, he's having a good time.
He's having a great time at the minute. The Wolves were due to play Olympiacos in the quarterfinal of the Europa League, so I went for that. And then the day we landed, he got put behind closed doors because of COVID. So I ended up watching the game on an Irish pub in Athens when they were down the road. But we had that as a bit of a business planning session. We messed around with the name for ages. Kigyo is the Japanese word for enterprise.
I thought it'd be Japanese. It just sounds,
We liked a lot of the Japanese kind of culture and respect and all those kind of connotations that fit with it. And SAP is an enterprise software. So we went for Kigyo Solutions as like a name. And we thought it was a bit of a unique name that kind of opens up
I like it.
a conversation.
Yeah, I like it. So paint the picture then. How did you start the business? You're in Amsterdam. It's COVID.
Yeah.
So really nice weather this summer, I think, in the UK. I don't know about in Europe, but it was beautiful.
It was good early, wasn't it? It was good in March and April.
I think it went a bit worse by September time, August, September time. But what was those early days like? How did you set it? Like, how did you actually start the job, and what did you do?
We tried to focus. We wanted to focus 100% on Germany. We thought Germany was the best European market, with us respecting our various non-competes and stuff. And we went kind of everything that we knew really, or everything that we'd preached in our previous positions. We went kind of client first, map projects, map big customers, map multinational customers, and try and like drip down and win some business that way. Very old school, very traditional, let's say, for want of everything. Like, trying to spend as much time as we can on the phones or meeting people face to face on Teams, etc. And we kind of picked up business as we hoped we would, and we were just getting battered on the candidate side, really, in terms of candidate acquisition. Don't think we respected or properly realised what a powerful candidate database we'd come from or we'd worked with previously. And we struggled to get things moving. We ended up giving away. I remember one month both of us did placements or agreed placements with 2 massive companies, one for me, one for him, and we ended up giving both of them away because we couldn't sort the legality of the runner and things like that.
What do you mean?
There were contract placements. We weren't on the MSP. We'd gone kind of like a backdoor route. One was in Switzerland. One was in Belgium, and we couldn't arrange the contract legally with our company and their company. And we had to essentially give the runners away.
Would you get margin up front or?
We didn't in either case.
Wow.
We give it away in the hope that, we're going to go through the correct processes, get in with both companies, it's going to pay us back in the future.
Did that work?
Neither of them did, unfortunately, for various reasons.
Do you feel like you did the right thing though?
I felt like we did 100% the right thing. I'd do it the same way again. But yeah, it was some early alarm bells of maybe, we're not 100% shouldn't be in this space, or maybe we need to be a little bit more focused, etc., etc. Soon after that, we got a bit of a runner book going with a bit of a smaller kind of intermediary company. Had kind of 10, 15, maybe up to even 20 consultants on the same site, and that's what kind of kicked us off really.
Yeah, all in SAP.
That was all in SAP. Yeah.
Was that inside what sort of time frame were we talking? The first year was that?
Yeah, that was probably starting. That was kicking off around 5-6 months in.
Yeah.
And then we were a bit busy with that customer, probably until about the 12-month period. And then those runners obviously diminished as they do over time, but like we did really well off that one customer, and then started picking up other bits of business around that time.
How did you find that first year from working for yourself? And there's a level of freedom, but there's also a level of pressure that you may not have been used to. Like, how did you respond in the moment to that?
It was tough. I remember us like texting each other when we were going to be like late to the office in the first like week or two. We had a really small office on the outside of Amsterdam just to give us a commute and stuff and get away from the kitchen table a little bit.
Yeah.
And if I was going to be there at 9:10, I'd like text him saying I'm going to be a bit late today. And we struggled to get away from that corporate culture at first. You can always learn from mistakes. Looking back, we didn't, or I feel like I didn't surround myself with enough people that had done it. I only really look back at the way that I knew, which worked for a big corp, and all the kind of processes, things that frustrate you, and the red tape and all that sort of stuff. Like, we're free of that now; it's going to be easy, but no real plan of how the right way to build it was. Yeah. I kind of felt like we got stuck in that space a little bit.
So you've got your office on the outskirts. Like you say, you adapt into a not corporate life. You spend a while building, giving away free placements, which is fucking painful. And then you get this contract book growing with just one customer.
Yeah, with one
and that's a leverage point, I imagine. It came back and bit you a little bit? Were you too leveraged on one? Or was that okay?
Possibly. I mean, it was a good solid bit of business. He was a small consultancy starting up and had a massive contract with a kind of global supermarket. So it was a good bit of business for us.
Work for both of you.
A good work for both of us. I think he got to a point where he's like, well, do I need to keep paying these guys so much money? So it kind of slowed down. But we picked up other stuff at the same time, and we kind of started exploring, we initially started, we thought we would do SAP, we would just do it in a particular space, right? In particular logistics, manufacturing, supply chain, etc., which is particular 3 or 4 modules, let's say, within SAP. We started picking up a bit of business on the business side of that. So functional supply chain, functional logistics, functional warehousing people, etc.
So non-SAP.
So non-SAP. We won a bit of business on retained packages, project based. Which kind of started us off into a perm tangent, let's say. And then, we just picked up more and more and more in that space. And as the runners were going down and the other business was coming up, we were almost not an SAP-based agency anymore. Yeah.
How long did that transition take to come through?
I would say by the mid to end of 2021, so a year to 18 months, 12 to 18 months, we were not doing any new SAP stuff at all, really.
So you were just catering for the customers you had, and you were filling different things from?
Yeah.
How many different clients was this?
We didn't have enough. We only had 3 or 4 real clients at that point, but all good customers. But it was, as we learned a bit later, it was too thin, really.
What were you billing at that point?
We were probably doing around about a mil in euros, or just less between us. Yeah.
2 a year.
Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
Less. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
So you got the money's there.
Yeah.
you're earning great money. You've got freedom and flexibility, but you've come away from the business plan.
Yeah.
And that wasn't an intentional thing.
That wasn't an intentional thing. No, we. I mean, if you look back on it now, a lot of it's was not intentional. The journey, you go in which the direction that the journey takes you. But no, it wasn't intentional at all. It was very much. Yeah, it was almost like keep us out of a lie, keep the lights on. We've got to be fluid and got to operate in.
Could you sense though there was a problem coming that?
No.
Or no.
No. We started hiring people. We were getting a lot of volume, in particular from one or two customers. We decided to go a kind of delivery route, so hired just only delivery consultants. And yeah, we just thought it was going to kind of grow and grow and grow really.
And you were just a logistics supply chain,
just logistics, supply chain, manufacturing on the kind of business side. We picked up. We ended up doing bits more of SAP business organically from within the customers, but we weren't really leading.
And
with
these
that at that point.
German customers or?
I mean, multinational. Yeah, like we had one big customer working with in kind of 10, 11 countries in Europe. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did things start? Because that sounds really positive, right?
Yeah.
When did it start to change a bit?
I think 2022 we started hiring more, and we started filling less jobs. We weren't really set up for success. I really feel now that you want to have your process, all the things that you think you don't need from a corporate company that you actually do need, right?
Yeah, of course.
Your processes and all that sort of stuff needs to be nailed so that people can come in, plug in, and do a job.
Yeah.
Didn't have any of that done really. Like the success of individuals was a bit luck orientated. We weren't niched enough. We had big customers asking us to do other things in other areas, and we'd do it, and myself and John could fill them, but the team would struggle. So then we kind of dipped off that year, really. We dipped off massively. Cost was going up, revenue was going down, and it was all of a sudden becoming pretty tricky, I would say.
I'm interrupting today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Atlas, the only AI-first recruitment platform on the market. Now, imagine you had a genuine assistant following you around, listening to everything you said on the phone or in meetings, and then doing all the admin for you that you don't want to do. Well, that is actually possible now through Atlas CRM. It's the only platform with fully integrated AI, so there's no note-taking whatsoever and no need to buy any additional software. Now, they've got so many amazing features, specifically perfect data recall. They can enhance your ability to evaluate candidates by retaining and recalling detailed interview information from anything you've done. So any phone calls, any meetings, any emails, any interviews, any interaction with people, the information's there. So you can make really clear, advised decisions moving forward. Okay, so Atlas is brand new to the market and launching so rapidly. For the first 200 members, they are offering what's called a founder's license, okay? And the founder's license is going to be a 40% discount for life, okay? And it's only for the first 200. Now, if you want to be in the first 200, you're listening to this episode through the RAG, you're going to have a great chance. Go to www.recruitwithatlas.com/the RAG and sign up on that page. All right, let's get back to the show.
Was it pure market conditions, or was it the fact that the quality wasn't there at the back end? Like, what did you put it down to when it started to, you see that gap in cost? And
not a wide enough client base was one, definitely. Not being niched enough, not taking too much on.
Too many varied positions.
Varied positions.
So you're starting from scratch then, aren't you, on a lot of roles, kind of like the delivery guys?
Yeah, you just
haven't got a
from
network.
Exactly, yeah. You're starting competing from scratch. We'd gone away from, almost completely away from recurring revenue full stop, really. Our runner book was going down.
And that's what you really set up to build.
To do, yeah. Our runner book was going down. Even like we were selling less retainers, we were selling less packages. It was all just contingent perm business. And yeah, our people weren't set up to succeed. So we were.
Where did you get to at this point? How many people?
We kind of got up to about 7, 8, 9 people now. and we've not grown that to this day,
No.
of course. But we kind of got up to that point by 2023, really.
And the market is taking a dip at this point for most industries. Did you feel that in general as well?
Yeah, I felt like
post-COVID boom had gone a bit.
Yeah. I think I felt like the market had dipped in 23 and 24, the last 2 years. I mean, 23 we weren't particularly prepared for it.
No,
we hadn't had any kind of plan or contingency plan or anything like that. And then, but yeah, 2024 by 24 time come around, we'd made a few more better plans and almost like secured ourselves for the future a little bit more.
So what did you do then? So let's say mid 23, the market's not great. You've got generalist business or across, like you're picking up different roles across these companies. There's not enough clients. Costs are up. Profits down. What did you and John do?
We probably went. The first thing we did is ensuring that the kind of lights stay on and the business stays alive, which in many ways resulted in us taking on more, us doing more for other people.
Yeah.
Us fixing things for others as opposed to
The founder influence. Yeah.
It kind of goes to that you're just stuck in the weeds, full stop, but like moving along and existing. But then at the same time, in 2023, at some point, we kind of it took us a few months to get to this conclusion, but we ended up spotting an opportunity in a different market, believing that there was an opportunity to go a little bit more niche, to set consultants up a little bit better when they kind of on board or when they're starting, etc. And hopefully generate a system where consultants are bringing in a little bit more revenue than being completely reliant on the business that's coming in. And we set that up in the middle of 2023.
That was the energy.
And that's the energy renewable business.
Where did that idea come from?
The idea came from one of our, initially came from one of our big customers asked us to help with a few vacancies within the space.
So they had like a division of energy within their business.
Or part of their business tied in closely with solar panels, etc. So they helped us to work on a couple of the requirements. I think I worked on them, and just got a sense that wow, this could be a space here.
Cool market.
Really high salaries for really relatively young and inexperienced people. John was a little bit of a visionary for like a business plan to put together around it, and we essentially set that up. We took 2 people full time out of how they're working in the other business into the renewables, and we kind of started that in 2023, in the middle of 2023. Yeah.
Right. So that's a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how was yours and John's relationship at this point?
John was a really good friend of mine when we set up the business, and it was difficult at times during the business, especially when you're friends and there's just the 2 of you. There's not like a third person to use the sounding board. I don't think we really used our wider network as good as we could have done. John moved back to the UK around the end of 2022 or start of 2023 as well, which made it quite difficult, to be honest with you, because it just the path that we were on was a little bit.
And you had an Amsterdam-based team, right?
We had an Amsterdam-based team, so Amsterdam office.
So you're there in the office, and he's suddenly not there.
Yeah, he's not in the office.
Was he flying over every?
Yeah, he was coming. He was coming across regularly, and he was very visible and online and things like that. But yeah, it was a little bit tricky. I kind of, I think I ended up going a little bit operations focused, which was probably needed, but probably not in the best way. I think at this point we hadn't hired any other operational resource, so myself and John did everything as business owners, and we'd hired sales staff.
But you're also still the biggest contributors on the new business side.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I think my contributions to the business declined at that point.
Right.
And I kind of, in a way, you kind of cover, or you're making up for that by doing the rest of the stuff, but it's not the most efficient use of time and money, to be honest with you. But yeah, it worked relatively well it worked okay for that year, I think. But we probably started to be on a slightly different path.
Yeah, we were saying this, weren't we, off air, that like whether it's an employee relationship or partnership, can be in your personal life, whatever. But for a while, things just, when you run in parallel with the same vision, it works. As soon as one of you or more of you, there's even a degree of change in direction.
Yeah.
That gap just continually gets bigger.
Exactly, yeah.
And you said that was kind of how it went with you two. Like, you're in Amsterdam looking at the team, he's in the UK. Describe what went on then over the next 12 months or so.
Yeah, you just almost have a completely different view of absolutely everything, really. You see certain things remotely that you might not see in the office. You see certain things in the office that you might not see remotely. At the same time, we're not doing amazingly well from a business perspective. So we've still got that underwriting pressure that we need to,
keep making
money, keep people employed, etc. So it was a tricky period that we didn't navigate as well as we could have done. We didn't communicate as well as we could have done. We didn't. We probably both kept things a little bit internal, which is the easy way out, isn't it? When there's any time of, like, for want of a better word, disagreement, different of opinion or conflict, etc.
It's easier just not to deal with it.
It's easier not to deal with it. Just park it and stuff. So there was like a little bit of that. And we kind of, like I say, got through the year, got to the end of the year. We're still here. We still got customers. Shoots of positivity from the renewables business. And then we kind of came into the start of this year and started having some more discussions about how we want to operate, where we see the future, where we see the growth, etc. And then probably realised that we weren't massively aligned on quite a few things.
Did that happen in like a gradual way, or did you sit down and have like a meeting and figure it out together that actually we're seeing the world slightly different now?
Yeah, I mean, it happened. I'll try and be as candid as I can on this. It happened in quite it happened quickly.
Yeah,
it happened as part of like a disagreement, and it wasn't the easiest at that moment. To be honest with you, we weren't like seeing eye to eye on a lot. We weren't in agreement on a lot.
And you're still trying to run a business at the same time.
And we're still trying to run a business. We still, I can say, from both of us, we put in all of our effort into the business and the people at that moment. So I lost my train of thought a second. But in the people at that moment, and try and navigate it fairly.
Is this middle of last year?
This is like the start of last year.
Yeah, so you're
around this time.
So if you've got you at home, you're pregnant, right? So you've got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
So you've got so much going on at this point.
Yeah. So I've got exactly that. Yeah, baby's due in July. So much going on. Didn't know how it was going to pan out. We weren't on the best of terms. And then I would say over the next 6 or 7 months, our relationship got better and better. We dealt with things properly. We dealt with things fairly, and we've agreed between the two of us that it's probably the time to kind of separate the business slightly, for him to focus more on the way he wants to go.
So is he looking at that original logistics, like client management, different roles coming in? He's quite happy with that, like focusing in that, and you saw that new market and you were like, I want to go and grow that. So you both.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, you learn so much from your mistakes. Like, if I knew everything I knew today, the story would be a bit of a different story, of course. But life's not that easy. But I see the value in a really tight knit, niche boutique agency. I see the value for the staff. I see the value for myself. I see the value for our customers. Yeah. That's what I want to create really again. I think that of course you can be a more generalist provider, and there are more generalist solutions, but it's not really me. It's not really where I had my success when I was billing, or where I had my success when I was growing a team.
It's not what excites you either.
It's not what excites me. So I kind of need to go that way. And he kind of wants to maintain the other side of thing, and some of the relationships that are on that side of the business, and things like that. So we kind of organically got to the point where we're trying to do something that works for both of us, basically.
Yeah, well, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
And like you said, you were with him today, right? Your relationship's still good, and you've maintained a friendship, which
I think we've probably improved our friendship over the last couple of years.
That's great.
We've maintained it if you look back when we started the business, but throughout this period, this difficult period, I think the friendship's actually improved as opposed to...
I think with some Hoxo started with 3, and so I had Amaro, was my best mate from uni, and lived together, travelled together, worked together. Everything was from the age of 18 to 30.
Yeah.
But then from, say, 11 to 18, my best mate from school, or one of my best mates from school, had gone into marketing. So when we started Hoxo, I pulled them 2 together, really. Amma was my trusted recruiter with me, and he was a marketeer, and we mashed it together. And it just didn't work. It got us off the ground, and I wouldn't change it. But 2 years later, it was just like, me and Amma were on a completely different mindset, pace of working, and he just wasn't enjoying it. Anyway, so we bought him out in 2019, and it was painful, and it was difficult. And I don't, our friendship's okay. Like, we still speak occasionally. All 3 of us have had a daughter this year, but I've not met his kid, and I'm not seeing him. And I think there'll always be a little bit of something now between me and him that I don't think we'll ever be back to where we were.
Yeah.
But we weren't that close between the age of 18 and 30. We saw each other occasionally. I think it'd be an absolute travesty if me and Amma went that way, because we're like, we speak every day. Yeah. We don't see each other a lot because of the business and the way we live, but we speak every single day. We run the business together, and I don't know how long we'll run it forever. We won't run it forever, obviously. Everything comes to an end, but I think if someone means a lot to you before, it's great if you can keep that going.
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, and I believe that we will. To be perfectly honest with you.
So with the way it's running now, then, even though you still got shares and you're all still in it, is it more like you've got your own team now? Like everyone looks up to you as one team, or is he still involved from a leadership and management?
Yeah. John's still involved from a management perspective. Let's say the business is let's say 70% focused on renewables and then 30% focused on some of our legacy stuff. We've still got a couple of delivery consultants that work primarily with John, and those relationships are still maintained.
Is there talk about splitting up the brands and creating a second company, or?
Yeah, I think, but not. We haven't talked about it in length or anything. It would make sense, I think, for the way I want to go, to be more Kigyo RE, Kigyo Renewables. I think John will operate under a different name as opposed to keeping the Kigyo Solutions. But there's talk at some point. I think the vision that I have and what I believe is right for the company, I think you've got to be focused in one area, and being focused in one area and having a little bit of something on the side. Yeah, it might work for a while, but I don't think it can work forever.
No, absolutely not. Me and Amma, another thing when we started Hoxo, we had a business called Anderson Chowan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a law firm, but it was a little recruitment business. So we went Hoxo Media, but at the same time, we knew we could still probably do some contract recruitment because we had the contacts, and we did a little bit of work on the side, and we probably made, I don't know, 50 to 100, no, about 60, 70k year one and similar year two, just by having a few runners out. And I'm talking like a handful. Yeah. But it became such an annoying distraction. Like every time you got an email about it or a contractor problem or something, I was like, we're not in this. Like, this is we've got to get rid of it. Yeah. And now there's been other products in the business that over time we've just gone, we might lose that bit of revenue by slicing it off, but we then can double down in the place where we want to put our future. Yeah. And look at what impact. And every time we've done that, it's worked. Yeah. So it's constantly a game of, I think in business, we're naturally, I don't know what it is. It's always about acquiring more stuff, doing more things, have more people, have more products, have more clients. Sometimes it's actually not. It's about doing less better.
Definitely, yeah. You kind of want to, especially when you're starting and you're developing and you're trying to build up money and things like that. But you just want to take things on because you think, right, if I get that over the line, that's something else, or that's the more money, or that's that there, and I'll take more and more on. But at some point, and it's not really for us, it's more for the team below you. That's so difficult to do. Yeah. Like, focus on one thing, do it well, grow that thing. If you need to trim down even more to do it even better and take on it, then it kind of goes.
What did they say? I was literally watching a video this week where they say to grow a tree, you need to prune it.
Yeah, exactly.
To trim it back down for it to grow better, grow in the right shape, grow in the right direction. And that's so accurate with business. So where you're at now then, team focused on renewable energy. Like, you're getting back involved now to like build your network and get out there, you know, building the brand and community and stuff, which you've been on the boot camp as well.
Yeah.
How have you found the work with us and looking at your, like, actually looking at a personal brand and thinking about your LinkedIn and all these things that you've not done?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like it's been there on like the radar for probably since we started. I think me and John had discussions about this when we started. But we, like I said a few moments ago, we didn't surround ourselves with the right people. We didn't really surround ourselves, or I didn't.
Yeah.
I was not going to speak for him. With people that were doing the same that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we kind of skipped on that really and went back to type, back to what we know. I see the value in it now is tenfold really. I've had conversations in the last 3 to 4 months that I hadn't really had for the previous 2 years. Like, we were so busy in the washing machine, I used to call it, that I wasn't going and speaking to kind of leaders in the industry. I wasn't going to speaking to customers again properly. So I've started to have those conversations and see the benefit of a community. I think the benefit to customers to go with someone that really knows what they're doing is tenfold to go into it.
Yeah.
I think that will increase more and more as the years go on within recruitment. I think it will go nicher and nicher and
It
nicher.
has to, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like the snippets that I've picked up so far from Hoxo have been great. There's a lot of work on my side to put everything into action. But yeah, the direction that the company is going in and the direction that we're going in is mega exciting, really.
What I love about working with businesses like yours is you've come to that conclusion, whether it on day 1 or day 600, that this is the direction you want to go in, and you're open to learning and asking questions, and that genuinely is that's all I want to work with.
Yeah.
Like, I got I said it on the previous podcast that there's plenty of people who don't like what I'm doing or don't agree with the modern ways of working or social media or whatever, and I'm cool with that. If anything, I'm glad there's majority in our industry don't, because I think it leaves more space for people that are prepared to go and put themselves out there to win, which I've got every faith you will. So if we just reflect on the what you've learned in this process of running a business for a few years, you've made loads of mistakes, and someone's thinking this sounds like a journey that, let's just say someone's setting up, or they've already set up and they can see familiarity in some of the problems. What are like the best 3 pieces of advice you could give someone who wants to get ahead quicker than you did?
Yeah, yes, it's a really good one. I mean, I think firstly, it's never easy for anyone, right? You can listen to podcasts or things like this, and it's made to seem that you should be out there like billing $1 million in a year, and like everyone can do. It's not that way. There's always challenges to it, and I want to share some of those experiences as opposed to all of the necessary wins. I think surround yourself with people that are doing similar to you, right? I think it's about one of the biggest, the best things I've had from the stuff with Hoxo is surrounding myself with people that are going through the same or going through something similar. So surround yourself with those people, especially if you're coming from an environment like I did, where it's so different to what you're going to be doing when you go on your own. You think you might be able to build it in the same way, but you can't, right?
It's worlds apart.
Firstly, kind of build around that. Secondly, I think your communication with your business partners has got to be like absolute A-class. It hurt us definitely.
So like what you said before, that desire sometimes to protect and avoid arguments or disagreements, it'll only come and bite you later, right?
Yeah.
It just snowballs.
I think it's tough with 2. I've thought about this loads. With if you do something on your own completely, it's your decision. You might go and use it as a soundboard and things like that, but you're making the decision. I've got friends that have got 3 of them involved, then you've always got like a mediator. If there's 2 and you don't agree with each other, it's hard to make that not a tension kind of situation. I think it is tough, but there's got to be some kind of channel of communication there. If the 2 of you are not good communicators anyway, then you need to put a system.
I think an NED or some form of advisor. Like we've got a coach, me and Amma, that we meet with on a quarterly basis as a group, and then in between that we have a catch up, and then we'll have a separate one-on-one call with him. So we meet like on average it's every 2 weeks, I think. We have a formal quarterly strategy, and then we catch up every month. And his job is often just to listen to us and mediate. And like he's not here to tell us what. He's not even a mentor that's going, right, do this, do that, do this, do that. It's more asking good questions, shutting up, and allowing us both a platform to speak. And sometimes things come out in those calls that you've been thinking about for ages.
Yeah.
But you haven't said it one-on-one.
Yeah.
Or you're worried about saying it one-on-one. But just because there's someone else there, you feel like there's a platform to talk. So I don't know if you've not done it, then but anyone who's got a one-on-one partnership, I think even if you just get an advisor for a day a month or something, it's not a bad shout.
Yeah, or exactly something like that. I've not even thought about it. So, and then you asked for the three. Third thing is just don't be afraid to be a little bit fluid as well in the way that you're
flexible
and fluid in the way that you're working. Like the great thing about this industry is there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many different ways to generate revenue. There's so many different ways to generate kind of community. There's so many different ways to generate contact. Like just like try it out, see what works for you. See if you don't have to be typed into one box and work in that particular way. Like there's a lot of flexibility that can be.
So my final question, if we bring you back on, which we will in the future, 12 to 18 months, 2 years down the line, where do you hope we'll be saying you are? Like, what does good look like?
Good for me looks like a real trusted partner within the renewable space in Europe. I would like to have a kind of my own community. I'd probably like to have my own podcast or something like this. And I'd like to use myself as a bit of a kind of strategic advisor. Take myself away from the recruiter, which I think sometimes is a downfall. I think I approach, or have in the past approached, too many conversations as a recruiter, as opposed to kind of an industry leader or things like that.
And the team will grow somewhat it's not all about headcount, but the team will grow.
It's not all about headcount. I mean, headcount is a bit of an ego thing, I think, for some people. I think it's about being a profitable unit. I think it's about employing people fairly, and by fairly I mean like giving them a chance to succeed. We were set up, we weren't giving people a chance to succeed. We had a couple of people that made it because they were incredible people. Yeah. But we weren't fairly setting, and I think when the time is right to grow in that way,
and actually have a plan. Tom, do you know what? I love the candid nature of this episode. You're right. I don't want every episode to be about grand. This is amazing. Look how good I am. I build $1 million a week or whatever. Like it's not. The reality of this industry is there's highs, there's lows, there's ups and downs, and what you've been through, loads of people have been through, and loads of people will go through. And the fact that you've not sat here and you're hidden away, you just let it all out, I think will help a lot of people. So I appreciate it.
Hope so. Yeah.
Top man. We'll get you on in the future. Best of luck. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Cheers. Thanks, Sean.
Top man. Thank you as always for listening to today's show. I truly hope that you got value from it. Honestly, it's the only reason I take time every week to ensure that my audience, you guys, future and existing recruitment owners, you're learning from each other to make this industry that I love so much stronger. And today's episode is brought to you by my business, Hoxo. I'm the CEO and founder, and we're on a mission to help brand recruitment agencies and their people better. I want to help people have the tools to stand out in the most competitive markets in the world. So I'll see you again next week with another episode. Catch you soon.